Welcome to VINTed with Scout Driscoll. Come along with me on my journey into the wine world, where I share thoughtful conversations with wine industry leaders. Get ready for marketing insights from branding and design to sales and social media, and the answer to the ultimate question: what moves wine? I'm Scout Driscoll, founder of Vint Studio and host of VINTed, where I ask top leaders in the wine industry, how do you move wine? Past episodes include conversations on connecting with younger consumers with Rob McMillan, founder and EVP of the Silicon Valley Bank Wine Division, and Elise Terlato of Terlato Wines International. You can check out those episodes and more on our website. On today's episode, we're chatting with Ikimi Dubose-Woodson of the Roots Fund. But before we dive in, here's a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Vint Wine Branding and Design, where rich storytelling meets smart design. At Vint, our studio goes beyond the label, guiding wine brands big and small through strategy-rich branding, packaging evolutions, and websites, point of sale, and more. Our work with Cooper's Hawk has helped them grow the nation's largest wine club to over 540,000 members. You can learn more about Vint at vint.studio, and for a free label audit for your brand, email me at hello@vint.studio. Today's guest is a powerhouse executive director of the Roots Fund, Ikimi Dubose-Woodson. In 2020, let me start that over again. Today's guest is the powerhouse executive director of the Roots Fund, Ikimi Dubose-Woodson. In 2020, Ikimi co-founded the Roots Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to creating inclusive opportunities for communities of color throughout the wine industry, alongside Carlton McCoy and Tahira Habibi. A chef, restaurateur, writer, nonprofit executive, and inspiration, Ikimi now runs the organization as executive director and has overseen the 150 plus scholarships they've awarded since they started and the massive fundraising effort. Ikimi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So excited today. You got to go out on the road with me. You can say that message a million times.
You know, people say I have an announcer voice. No.
You do.
It's just a very good microphone. Anyway, I'm so excited that you joined me today. I've really, truly admired everything that you guys have built in such a short amount of time at the Roots Fund. I've long followed your journey on LinkedIn. And, you know, I don't know too much about Carlton, but I know that you and Tahira are like two of my favorite people. So I'm very happy to have you on. Before we really dive in too much, let's just get started by having you tell our listeners all about the fund and its mission.
Sure. The Roots Fund completely was created to create this new inclusive space for people of color in wine. And we focus on that through education, mentorship, and job placement. And what that basically means is that if you want to study, whether it be college-based, certification-based, or just increasing your wine knowledge, we provide resources and support to do that. So if you want to become a master somm, you want to become a diploma certified, if you want to study a specialty in wine, champagne, or wines of Rhone or wines of Italy, we support and encourage that. We also have people in our program who are in business positions like vineyard managers, hospitality, tasting room, marketing, journalism. All of our scholars represent all aspects of the industry. So it's super excited to be able to provide all of the additional support for them.
Love it. Love it. Let's make some change.
There we go.
Okay. So you're a chef, you're a restaurateur, you're a writer. You've had quite the career. How did you get where you are now? What's the Ikimi story?
Oh, let me give you the short version. So I am from the kitchen. That is my truest first love. I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I grew up in New York City. So going to high school, the system to get selected is very strenuous. And I didn't get selected for my law high school. Instead, I got to put in the high school, the culinary program. I figured, okay, I'll be here 3 months. This will be over with. Just something I got to stick out. I fell in love with it. Dropped the law program, stayed in culinary school. Another organization called CCAP actually gave me a scholarship to college. I went to Johnson & Wales. And that's how I met Carlton. Same organization put us through. He went to CIA, which is my rival school. We are much better than them, though. So went to Johnson & Wales, left there, traveled the world, came back, really got some great top chef positions around the country, went into the hotel environment. I just really love the idea of opening up new restaurants, traveling the world. Hotels allowed you to do that at that time. And I did that for quite some time. And then I had back surgery. And that changed things for me. I couldn't go in the kitchen and go up and down. They kept giving me restricted duties. So naturally, what did I do? Went out to the dining room. And that kind of began my beverage journey. You know, I went out studying wine, studying sake, studying spirits. I wanted to become a general manager. And they said the only way that could happen coming from the kitchen was that I got the beverage training I needed. So that's really how my journey started here. And I think at the height of the pandemic, I jokingly applied for Georgetown's nonprofit school with the McCourt School. And I got in. And I said, hey, I'm home. Nothing's going on. I think this pandemic thing is real. So I went to Georgetown for my degree in nonprofit executive leadership and literally went through the program at the same time we were building the Roots Fund. So I had the perfect case study the entire time and kind of got us here today. But really my passion revolves around helping people. That's truly, I think, my biggest skill and my greatest talent. I just happen to do it through wine.
I love that. I love that. And I love how tied in, the mission is towards, one of my personal values, which is taking the wine industry and pushing it towards younger demographics, people who are going to help it stay thriving, people are going to enjoy the discovery of wine, like really adding velocity to what's happening. It's kind of an aging industry. And I think the work at the Roots Fund is super pivotal in that. There's an opportunity to change the landscape of what happens in the wine world and in the food and beverage world. And I'm so happy that you guys are part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's so amazing that program aligned with your opening of the nonprofit. That's awesome. I did kind of a similar thing where I took a business. Yeah, I did a business program too during COVID. And I was like, it wasn't what else am I going to do? Because I was starting VINTed, home with my 2 children and managing my whole team at the same time. But
you're a superhero.
I mean, I try. So I'd love to hear more about what makes the Roots Fund really personal for you. Why this nonprofit? I'd love to hear where this really lies in your heart.
I think that I've done a lot of work in hospitality and culinary specifically to help other people of color really excel in that industry. And I look at the beverage industry and I even said to myself, being a regional GM, I would have to hire sommeliers. I never hired anyone of color. Most of the time it was middle to older age white male. I could think maybe of 2 women somms I've ever hired. And I said, wow, I'm a part of the problem. I've never even gone the extra mile to seek them out.
Yeah.
So I put myself in that mindset of what it was like for me running restaurants. What could I have done differently? And I'm like, there's this whole demographic in beverage. It's a very lucrative industry financially where people can gain equity and have ownership. We really need to dig into this. And having Carlton and Tahira so close and kind of more invested in wine than I was, to really hear their stories and really talk about the rooms they've been in and times I've attended award ceremonies to see Carlton and not seen anyone like us in the room. Yeah. It really just struck a button. We all agreed that it was time to do something. We just really intended on making one scholarship initially. We had no idea that it would grow into this. So we are excited and we're doing some great work.
I love that when you take something that you expect to be so small and it just catches like wildfire. And I feel like, to hear a story being so viral and the experiences that she had in the quartermaster somms, really probably added some velocity to how much change really needs to happen. And particularly the wine world, specifically for people of color. So it's perfect timing for that as well to really, kind of get some wind behind your sails and help change the status quo.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to talk about how you guys move the needle. So I'd love to hear about any success stories you've had, or really like what's happened since your launch. How have you guys really affected change?
Okay, so I think that our first step when we began the organization was to reach out to people in industry who needed assistance, and I think that was our initial goal. So we had folks like one of our scholars, Darren, was a culinary chef. Lost his job during the pandemic, have reached out to us about coming out to work harvest, and now is full-blown winemaker. He's worked 2 harvests here in the States. We sent him to Burgundy to work in Dujac last year. He did a harvest there. He's studying at UC Davis. And when he came to us, he was just a chef looking to potentially venture into the wine space. And now he's a full-blown winemaker. We've got another one of our scholars, Kyle. We have a partnership with Naked Wines where we've taken her from making wine in her basement to out in Napa. She has her own portion, a couple acres of vines herself. She's producing 2 different versions of Chardonnay this year. We've supported her through licensing, marketing, everything she's needed to launch her own wine brand. We've got a couple of our scholars in wine shop accessories. which is a big business as well, merchandise that actually have full blown businesses like the Wino Shop, their CEOs, and they're working on selling wine shop merchandise. So we've got someone from every aspect. We've got a couple journalists. And really what's great is that they come to us with this idea and either they felt like they haven't had the opportunity in the industry, but more importantly, they've had the access, but they haven't had the support. And I think that's really the big differentiator in the work that we're doing. There's a level of support for every layer that you're going to encounter. We want to prepare you. We want you to be knowledgeable so that you can feel confident in these spaces, talking about the work you want to do and how you want to accomplish it, so we're able to really tackle that. And a lot of it comes from mentorship. We still use mentorship in a good old fashioned one-on-one, try to get folks to meet once or twice every 2 weeks. And it's really proven to be beneficial. Mentorship is what gave me a great start in my career, having people guide me. So to have people giving you that advice and also pointing you in the right direction in wine is really the biggest thing that takes it over the top for us.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I think when your name is the Roots Fund, I think it's so much of a financial backing, but to know that you're really there hand in hand with these recipients to help them grow their businesses or grow their careers.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. Also, I want to go to Burgundy. That sounds amazing.
I think every time someone hears about Rooted in France, they're like, can we carry luggage at the airport? We would love to come.
Yeah, right. I love that. I think I need to go there for a podcast episode.
There you go.
I'll be back.
And speaking of Burgundy, Jeremy Sace from Dujac sits on our board, and just if anyone knows anything about Burgundy and knows about France and wine, there's never been a connection like what we have here. To work with the top domains, to work with Lafon, to work with Rouleau, Domaine de Monty, Desrochers, Thibault, Benjamin Leroux, all of these guys, have come together and championed this cause. They've not only funded the cause, but they are the big part of our internships, a big part of hospitality and harvest stuff that we do in Burgundy. It's because of our relationships there. And I really am so proud of what we've done with Burgundy from being in the US, and being an organization of color.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like, so much domestically is all about Napa, and to know that you guys are blowing way past that is really pretty powerful. Amazing. Do you have any new initiatives coming up for the fund or anything, noteworthy or newsworthy?
Something great is, like you mentioned before, we started out with working wine professionals, and now we're getting into the youngest demographic. So we launched a high school program, very small last year. Wow. This fall, it's really going to kick off. So we'll be working out of high schools in Chicago, Florida, and California, and one in New York City as well, where we will be taking students out, different colleges and universities, to learn about wine, hospitality, that kind of thing. And then we take them out to a winery for a half day. And then we end that program with a tasting for the parents. So what most people don't realize, in communities of color, one, the high school students can't drink the wine, but you'll have parents who haven't engaged or interacted in the wine industry, and they want to know why an organization like ours is interested in their child. So I think having that one-on-one time with them and asking questions about FAFSA and sponsorships and grants and how they apply for those things and how the high school students can apply for scholarships with us. So we're definitely tapping into that younger demographic. I think that's going to be completely powerful. And at the same time, we're going into the HBCU market in the fall as well. We'll be going out to HBCUs, giving some basic wine education and also telling them about careers in wine. So we'll have a career fair that will revolve around our partners that are actually hiring for the industry. Nice. So I think that we're really attacking two areas that folks haven't invested as much time. But I think if we're doing all this great work and we have no one to follow it up, it will have been for nothing. So to invigorate the high school community and college community that hasn't been tapped into, it's going to be some great careers coming out of this and some people really getting some great education.
That's amazing. I feel like, I'm 42 and I've considered myself kind of in the wine world for a couple of years. Like VINTed is a real initiative we started at Design Scout during COVID. So I wish I had the opportunity to learn more about the wine industry as a whole. And I wasn't so intimidated. It's amazing how amazing the wine industry is and how welcoming and just, it's been such a eye opener to understand that the wine world is actually incredibly supportive, and mentorship is important, and people are welcoming and happy to introduce you around. So I feel like introducing people to that community so much younger will help dissuade them from thinking that it is intimidating or that it's only for people wearing little pins on their lapels and fancy ties and, black tie events.
Yeah. And I think that people they want to be knowledgeable about wine. It's just, where do they go to get it? And oftentimes we get that people are like, I go to buy wine in the supermarket, or I go in a wine shop and I scurry out because no one has the time to explain things to me, or, give me the time of day. So I think we've created that safe space where people can ask, why is this paired with this? Why do you choose this? What's the difference between Northern Rhone and Southern Rhone? And what's the big deal? My dad's big on acronyms. I'm always teasing him about wine. And he's like, the CDP, BRC thing. And I'm like, Dad, they're not the same. So just kind of teaching about that is definitely, I think we've created a great space for it. And people look to us to really receive that education.
Awesome. Awesome. And you guys just had a big fundraiser, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to say not big enough because everyone listening has to donate to the Roots Fund.
You need to donate today.
But donate today. But I would love to hear about your big auction that you had. What were you auctioning off? What were the results?
Yeah, so we had an auction in partnership with Zacky's. Shouts out to Jeff, Julia, Charles, Amanda, the whole team. They're phenomenal. Sponsored by Wine Spectator, who has been Wine Spectator Foundation has been a big supporter of Roots from the beginning. Gave us our first start financially and our support and kind of put us out in the world. And we created a double auction. There was a live portion that was at our actual gala at Chelsea Piers at the Lighthouse. Phenomenal. Yeah, had some great chefs fly in, put food together.
Oh, I was so jealous.
It was such a great time. We auctioned off 11 experiences that night, some of them to include Maverick Carter from LeBron's and his tequila brand with Diego Osario. And they did a private dinner where there'll be a private tequila tasting, and Carlton McCoy will come and do some wines and things like that. But there was first ever Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune experience, going through the top end Burgundy producers, lunches and dinners, a whole week with hotel and all that great stuff. So that was another experience that hasn't been done before. You can't really just go and sit down with a lot of these guys. Even when you're a celebrity, you can probably go by the domain, but chances of you actually seeing the CEO of the winemaker is few and far between. So that was great. Of course, we auctioned off Carlton. He's got Nomad that just released. So a private dinner with him at the French Laundry. There was a great experience from Harlan Estates. Oh, wow. I mean, the live experiences were just, a lot of them one of a kind. The St. Tropez lot, I think, went for like 40,000 to go spend a couple days at Chateau St. Mars. So there were some great people who have been supporting us and gave some great things. And at the same time, we had wine and experiences online. So there were 103 other lots.
Wow.
So they were everything from distinct Burgundies, one-of-a-kind bottles. The Edward Milstein Foundation auctioned off a special edition of Dujac, where there's only a set of 3 in the world. And they had one and auctioned it off. So you got to see some one-of-a-kind things that were on there too. Some of our great Napa supporters, it was just tons of great stuff. I can't even list it, but they were phenomenal.
And it was a success, you would say? Do you feel
a great success? Just over 400,000, just shy of 500,000, and definitely got us so close to the goal that we had set, and definitely gave the chance for the industry to have this night where you saw the largest somm team of color that you've ever seen in the world. It's never happened before.
Wow.
And to look at the back of the room, I had them line the room at the end because I wanted everyone in the room to really see what had happened in this moment, and it was big for the scholars too, because I constantly reinforced to them verbally that they are capable, that you just need to get the confidence. Once you have the knowledge, that confidence will slowly build, and that you deserve to be in the space. You deserve all the opportunities that you've always wanted. And I think we just do a damn good job of creating those opportunities and holding people accountable.
Oh, you're filling my heart. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. So I usually wrap up my episodes with, what is your number one advice for selling more wine? But obviously it doesn't apply here. I think though I would love for you to say, what is your number one advice for people of color in the wine space, or people of color who are interested in getting into the wine space? Obviously connect with you guys, but what do you recommend?
I think that a lot of education, thanks to the internet, is free. you can start by just reading basic things about wine, some great aids that we love, like Wine Folly does some great aids, but there's lots of things on Amazon. Think of all the money that you spend, maybe running to the coffee shop. Could I have taken that and bought a book about wine? There's so many great people. Jancis Robinson has like little tool guides, but there's so many things on the internet right now you can get for free. The education starts with you. You have to take accountability for yourself and start to educate yourself. Don't worry about certifications.
Okay.
Worry about getting the knowledge first, and then decide if you feel a certification is necessary for what you're doing. You know, you could be an enthusiast. You could be someone in the restaurant industry. You might want to get a certification. It could elevate your career, but focus less on, I've got to run and get a certification. Start with, I've got to start to just educate myself about wine. Start to really understand the terminology. Find a study group, a tasting group. A lot of people are doing those for free. There's tons of YouTube videos. And you really got to go through the information and take what resonates with you and start to just hone in on that. That's really the first step, I feel, to really find out what you can do in the wine industry, how to better understand it, how to better take apart a glass of wine. And it'll also keep you away from running the Moscato all the time.
Well, I love that your advice really starts with find your passion, right? Like you're really saying, like, do the homework and then find your passion, because you might find yourself neck deep in a WSET book and then realize that this is really not something you're super interested in. And there's so many different facets of wine too. It's not just a matter of becoming a somm, right? Like I love that you guys are helping people both work, the fields to become winemakers, to work within sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's such a wide world of wine that people could enter into. Also,
I tell people all the time, the wine industry is all about transferable skills. Most of the people that come to us have somehow been displaced during the pandemic. They were a waitress, so they worked in a dining room before and lost that job. And now they're doing education for a distributor, or they're working at a wine podcast, so they're working in journalism, or they're writing articles for a wine publication. I think that's what I love about wine. You can come into this with great skills from another sector and transform them into the wine industry and be successful.
Yes. All right. Before we go, I want to give you a chance to kind of, and I didn't prepare you for this, so don't freak out.
It's okay.
But I want to give you a chance to amplify some people that you think that all of my listeners should be following on Instagram or following on LinkedIn or reading. Who are some movers and shakers that you really want to give a little bump to?
Oh, wow.
And I know there's probably too many to answer, so don't take offense if Ikimi doesn't say your name.
Okay. It's just, this is off the top of my head. Definitely the Wino Shop. A lot of people are always asking about our merchandise. That's one of our scholars. She has some great t-shirts and trinkets. Lovely Wine is one of our other scholars, Amira Garba, and she is doing some great things in the wine space. Grant Reynolds at Parcel. Most people don't realize it, but Parcel provides all of the wine for our tutoring sessions. That means a lot to me.
Wow.
We just also signed up to do some wine tutoring through Verve with Dustin. So I appreciate his help as well. Definitely the Ex Chateau guys. They have been a big part of marketing the auction for us. So I appreciate them, support them, and follow their podcast. And just look around for wine. Look around for people who resonate with you. Just don't go with someone because they're an influencer. Like, look at the content and say, hey, this person really doing something awesome that I should be following, that resonates with me. And then do your work. Because not everyone in the space really has knowledge of the space, and they're just here to have a good time. If you really want to study, look at the people who are giving out legit great material. And shouts out to Wine Folly, Madeline. That's our lady.
Wine Folly's great. I got to get them on the podcast.
You got to definitely get them on.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so many great voices out there, and encourage people to keep your eyes and ears open on Instagram and across the web. And thank you for mentioning some of those. I'll be sure to link to those on our show notes. So if anyone didn't, catch that all the way, or you find yourself responding, like, I'll have them on our show notes. You can go to vint.studio and get links to all those amazing people. Yeah. Ikimi, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Where can people learn more about the Roots Fund, and how can they learn more about you and connect with you?
Sure. TheRootsFund.org is our website. It's the best place. Join the mailing list. That's how you stay on top of it. Let's follow us on all social handles, Roots Fund, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. It's the best way to stay in touch. And we've got some great promo videos coming out courtesy of our partnership with Crew Love. So check those out on our website coming soon of ways you can stay engaged and definitely support the cause.
Awesome. And make sure you donate.
Yes. Donating is important. All of this good work does not happen for free. It's very expensive.
Yeah. And it all happens at therootsfund.org. Awesome. Well, that's all for this week's episode of VINTed. As always, you can head over to vint.studio to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Scout Driscoll, and of course on LinkedIn. Ikimi, thank you so much again. And we will see everyone next time on VINTed.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. The Follow Scout. I'm going to be watching.
Bye, everyone. Tune in for the next VINTed. Subscribe today. For future episodes, marketing advice, and more, follow me on Instagram at Scout Driscoll. Learn more about VINT's design and branding services for wineries at www.vint.studio.